Oh God, we're gonna get canceled if we do that.
No, a dad joke. Those are lame, cheesy fucking jokes.
Still gonna get canceled. They're gonna be too good.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. You can't cancel people who don't give a fuck.
Allegedly. Can't cancel anybody anymore, apparently. Probably a good thing. All things considered.
Yeah.
Mining, dining. All right. I remember to change the title this time.
Yeah, good shit.
W.
Link. And actually, I have an idea for a future roundtable thing, too.
Oh, dear.
No, it's not too bad. It's actually pretty smart if we can make it happen. All right. Well,
right.
I've shared mine.
Just froze on mine. Sure it's still working? Okay, cool. All right. Jingle and away we go.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 69, where we're going to wine you, dine you, and give you a good time. I'm j007tv, joined as always by my guy, subone KDC. We haven't got to the beer yet. He's on his Monster. I'm on my iced caffeine, but we're going to be cracking some cold ones. Oh, you son of a bitch. What's up, man? How you doing? How was your week?
Good. It's been busy. Kids are still off school. Oh Lord, they're still off school. So trying to keep them entertained is always entertaining. Literally just still putting the house back together from Christmas, tearing that all down, and whatnot. So, but enjoying that. Otherwise, not doing a whole lot. Kind of out and about. What did we do? We did something this week that was kind of fun. We went to the zoo. There's a zoo in the area, and it's kind of a fun story to tell. But in the area that I grew up, it's like I don't know. I grew up in Almaden, which is like South San Jose, so Silicon Valley area. But it was like when I was there, it was undeveloped. Largely, it was mostly farmland, and so there was a huge wooded tract with a creek in it that was accessible, and so we'd play there all the time. And we went to and so there are all kinds of critters in there. We went to the zoo, and we're hanging out, and there's a bird, like a weird bird call that I remember from the days of when I would play in the creek. And I'm like, but I never figured out what bird this was, right? But I could hear it, and I'm like, and we happened to be talking to a zookeeper, and I asked, "Hey, I hear that bird. What is that bird? Like, do you hear that?" And she goes, "Oh, that's not a bird. That's a mountain lion." And she points over to this gigantic cage with these gigantic fucking lions trying to entice us to come over there so they can eat us.
Jesus.
Is basically what the noise was. So that kind of reframed my childhood for me. Thought that was cool. Not really, but
Motherfucker, you almost ended up on the back of a milk carton, my dude.
And it's funny because if you're from the area, you remember there were a couple of instances in which the lions would get really actually pretty aggressive towards people. Like they snatched somebody's dog off his leash, like while he was walking the dog, like, right across from the high school one day.
If that doesn't say stay strapped or get clapped, I don't know what does.
Yeah, well, but not allowed around here. You got to fill out paperwork to do that. But so that was, we go to that zoo, and the mountain lion's name is Loretta, and she's apparently psychotic for mountain lions. She tries to eat my children. It's kind of funny, but not really. But yeah, otherwise, what's good with you? You can't hear me. Say something. I can't hear you. What'd you do? Yeah. Well, as Jay resets and we lost him. That's all right. So yeah, been kind of a wild week. Outside of my stuff, I know Jay's got snow going on, so he is working that out right now. And then let's see here. We'll have to edit some of this back down. But so that's been fun. Hope everybody out there has been safe. I know the LA area is dealing with they're going through it right now, unfortunately. And so they are Jay's back. How are you doing? Can you hear me now? It was working a minute ago. What'd you push? What'd you do, Jay? He touched something. He's not supposed to touch things, but he did. Oh, never fails. Never fails. Bear with us a minute. while I call him and figure out what his issue is. I don't hear you, Jay. Bear with us. Well, we continue to have fun challenges here.
I didn't touch a goddamn thing.
As he says on the phone, I didn't touch a damn thing. I detect lies. He touched something. So we'll wait for him to boot back in. And we'll learn why exactly I don't solo the podcast. So, yeah, hopefully everybody will. Oh, you good? Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Hey, we got you.
I legit touched fucking nothing, bro. Like, I don't. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, you were telling us about the mountain lions.
Yeah. I'm like 3 stories on.
Oh, but, Jesus. My bad, fellas.
You can catch the story after the episode.
Yeah.
How was your week, man?
It was pretty good. We had a winter storm roll through here like late Wednesday, and it basically snowed more or less all day Thursday and part of today up till about lunchtime. We were still getting flurries. So I think we ended up getting about 8 inches or close to worth of snow, and which is really not what we normally get here, bro. It's usually
episode 69 and you got 8 inches. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually fucking like it'll rain, then that'll freeze, then it'll sleet, and then it'll snow, and then it'll rain some more, and then freeze some more, and we get about a 3-inch sheet of ice that you could probably fucking play hockey on in the street. And that's kind of what it is normally, but this is actual powder, dude. I'm talking like at one point the flakes were bigger than quarters. Like,
that's crazy.
They were that big. I mean, it was awesome. I'm like a little kid in that. I'd move to fucking Colorado if I could, or some other state that is more aligned with me, I guess. But anywho,
so did you build a snowman?
My daughter did.
Did she ask you if you want to build a snowman?
No. She didn't.
That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
Around here it gets cold enough that we get frost on the cars and stuff overnight. So the closest my kids get to snow is I will scrape the frost off the windshield in the morning before they're like kind of out of bed, and then I'll throw a snowball at them. That'll get them up and going real fast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't imagine like that whole area gets any snow ever.
We get snow. In my lifetime, it's been 3 times, like on the ground in this elevation. But we've lost Jay again. What is he doing? What is going on, Jay Dog? Turning into a mess. Down here, you. So, yeah, we get snow here in the Bay Area. Not very. We got snow 2 years ago. I want to say it was. And it was pretty low elevations. You know, we were getting it, kind of on the passes around here, which, is normal commute time for a lot of, or area for a lot of folks. So that made it a mess for a while, but otherwise it's kind of a snow-free area. We don't really see much snow. And then Bronson, 13 degrees. Yeah, we are. We're under a pretty frigid temperatures here too. It's, I think, currently 64 degrees. It is sunny, not a cloud in the sky, and my kids are running around playing in the water. So yay, they're doing well. Otherwise, it is something else. The difference in weather here. Just trying to kill some time until Jake, and I don't know if he has to reboot or what, but because he's in Texas, so that, they've got their winter storms. I know a lot of the country's under frigid temperature right now, which is kind of weird. The Rockies usually stop that, so it kind of comes down from Canada and just sits on that part of the country, and then the West doesn't usually get hammered like that. And then the rest of us have to deal with it's not raining, and so yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm going to have to give Jay a talking to about checking his equipment before we get on. Let's see here. I'm just stuck waiting, doing the chit chat. We've got I'm taking the kids on a railroad trip. So we have a small railroad narrow gauge railroad in the area that runs kind of through the redwoods. So that'll be a fun setup going forward. It'll be fun to do.
When are you doing that?
Monday. We're supposed to do it today, but unfortunately, they were booked. So we're doing it tomorrow. Or we're doing it Monday.
Hence the last minute text. Hey, can we do Friday instead of Monday?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we're flexible around here, baby.
Yep. It works. It gives me more time to edit, anyways.
Yeah.
So I can hopefully be out on time.
So the other thing, I mean, you know, we've talked about our week and everything, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, you know, what's going on in the Palisades area in Southern California. The LA wildfires, essentially.
LA as a whole, let's be honest.
Yeah, LA as a whole. And now it turns out like people are actually going around and trying to purposely set fires throughout the city. Like people are documenting that on video, that kind of stuff. And it's just it's wild to me, you know, how that's even a thing. So, you know, thoughts and prayers are out with anybody that might be affected, including the Treyarch and you know, the Activision studios that are in the area.
In Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know LA, I don't know LA very well, but I do know that Santa Monica, like the start of Santa Monica, is basically like the fire line that they've drawn of like where they're trying to stop the Palisades fire. So it's right there for them. And it's kind of weird. And I've, you know, everybody who follows me on Twitter has probably seen a few engagements back and forth, but wildfire is one of those things that we get it up here a lot too. So it's like, it kind of trades off like every other year, you know, either Northern California or Southern California is on fire. And, you know, right now it's LA, but for us, we had it in 2020 and we, you know, with the SCU complex fires, and then we had a smaller fire, here at the ranch, about 3 years ago, I think. And so it's been, you know, wildfire is really, really bizarre. It's such a weird thing to live through and deal with, because it's so unpredictable. And so those fires in LA are just horrifying to watch. Having dealt with similar fires in the Santa Cruz Mountains and the North Bay back then. So, you know, definitely be attentive to people that are dealing with it and what they have to say. Because, you know, when you live through something, you know, it's like people that live through hurricanes, right? It's like I've never, you know, I've only lived through one hurricane when I lived in Hawaii. So, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, my experience is more limited on those. But, you know, for folks, you know, or like tornadoes, like I've never been through a tornado, a big one. Anyways, we had one here last year that was weird.
We have them between basically where I live and where my parents live, and we're about 35 minutes apart. We had one come in last year that they still haven't, and it's right off of I-35. Like it came in and just completely leveled one of the like newer convenience stores, and there were people in it, and unfortunately people got killed, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just, you know, these disasters, they're all different, and the response and how you deal with them is different, and the problems for them is different. Yeah. And so it's just important to keep that in mind, as you know, as inevitably this will get politicized in one way or the other. You know, that you know, it's up to real people that have to deal with real problems. And, you know, and look, the people that work for Activision, whatever your opinion is on the state of the game right now, and we'll get to that in a minute. You know, the people that work on this game, that, you know, live out there, that, you know, they're real people just as everybody else is. I don't know. Dude, Jay, you gotta get your stuff going on today. This is not ideal. I'm good at editing, but not that good. But yeah, no. So it's going to be, you know, something to keep in mind and just, you know, keep tabs on. But, you know, I fully expect to see a lot of updates slowed, if not delayed completely. If they delay the start of the season, I wouldn't be 100% shocked. They might have most of it done that they don't need to. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But, you know, prayers for them, and hopefully that goes well. So yeah, on the flip side though, you know, I do think it's, you know, we both think it's important to mention that, you know, the community, you know, our voices, you know, do matter. That's something that we don't see a whole, you know, it seems like it doesn't go anywhere, right? Like we usually run into this problem of, You know, we see problems with the game, we see things that are wrong, we shout into the void, and nothing changes. And you know, lately we've seen a variety of studios across the board. And actually, I just saw one, another studio which we haven't talked too much about, but Arena Breakout. We're going to throw into this this list where the community basically banded together and said, we don't like the direction this is going. We don't like these changes that are being made. And the studios have responded quite well. And so I think it's really important to take note of when these things are, you know, when we get reactions, you know, the positive reactions that we want from studios, such as, you know, Apex and Zombies. And we look at us as a community and how we've impacted that, and we keep it up in the ways that work, right? So, you know, specifically, you know, Apex, right? They changed the movement of Apex Legends in such a way to remove they removed tap strafing and some other movement changes that were very prominent on keyboard and mouse, and basically, you know, destroyed their movement, you know, their movement community, and a lot of the folks that relied on, you know, use those strategies and those skill gaps to compete, and they basically wiped that off the board. And a lot of people were furious about that, rightfully so. If you're in that community, I mean, that's a major change to the game. And so, going back, you know, the outrage was heard, and they did remove that and walk that back, and put out a blog post about it, which was, you know, it is both commendable that they walked it back and also acknowledged that they essentially made the wrong call. Followed by Call of Duty walked back changes to zombies directed mode, among other things, that basically limited the effectiveness of that mode for, I believe, doing camo grinds and stuff like that.
Is that what people were doing over there in that mode? So again, I don't play zombies, so I'm not going to try to comment definitively on something other than just like when I notice the studio makes changes, that kind of stuff. So like, is that what they were doing? Like grinding camos and stuff in that mode, and then whatever change they made more or less neutered that? Is that, am I understanding that?
I believe so. I believe it reduced the number of zombies, and I think a lot of the camos are you basically have to play to a certain point in the game to access certain zombies, and then they would either reduce those zombies or limit how many of them spawn or something like that. I'm not a zombie player, so I don't know the details exactly, but basically it cut the mode down and made it less enjoyable and less useful as a mode, and ticked people off, which fair, you know. And it's funny because a lot of people were like, you know, here's a development thing. A lot of people look at that and they go, why would they do that to us in the first place? And the reality is, you know, looking at their notes and what they said, the likelihood that this was supposed to be that way at launch is very low. So the expectation, I think, is that zombies mode has fewer zombies, right? And so, or directed mode has fewer zombies than regular, because to make it easier for new players, essentially. And so it sounds like that was bugged at launch. And so when they actually put the game out, you know, they had a bug in it. And so you know, so the way it works in development, just let me peel the curtain back, is you put something out there, and they probably flagged this before launch. To be honest, they probably knew this was going to launch this way, and they said, all right, we're going to file a bug, give it a bug number, right? I don't know, 2467Z, well, I don't know, or whatever they name it. And we have a bug, and we have this bug, you know, and it just sits there, and eventually a product manager is just going through the list of bugs and says, all right, it's time to fix this one. You know, engineer, go fix it. And the engineer goes and fixes it and reports back, bug is fixed, goes into deployment pipeline and goes out, you know, goes through testing and goes out. Meanwhile, the people that have played the game in the time from launch like the bug. Kind of like slide canceling, resetting tax sprint, right? By the time it gets on the radar and it's like, okay, this is something we could fix, everybody likes it and they don't want to fix it. They don't want it fixed. They like it the way it is, right? It's a happy accident. And unfortunately, product management and engineers don't always read the room. They just are in their spreadsheet of bugs.
They're doing their job.
It's probably in Jira. They're doing their job.
Yeah.
And so marketing and communications gets blasted, and they have to go back to engineering and ask them, what the hell did you just do? And when they untangle it, they go, well, put it back.
Well,
and they did, right? And so we got the reversion. And so I think it's commendable that they listened to us. And then Arena Breakout actually just tweeted this out this morning. Basically, pay to win is not acceptable. We don't want to loot box gambling and pay to win in their game. And they said that they're walking that back and taking that out. So on all of that. And but you know, they get the lowercase w, the little w. We as the community, all of you who have brought this to everyone's attention and harped on them and not let it go, are the reason they fix these things, right? Because if they fix the bug and nobody complains, they don't know that we don't like it, right? They don't understand that.
Well, yeah. So, okay. So let me ask you this. What are the avenues for them to learn of the community's distaste, right? They don't have phone lines where you can call anymore. They have email that they probably never check. And then there's fucking social media. Okay. So without people on social media explaining dissatisfaction with certain issues and pointing out certain things that are broken, how would they know?
I'm going to go back and say they do check email. They guarantee they check the email. And they have somebody probably paid not enough money to just assign a category and a category, a case number, and a canned response to the email, and they'll have a program in the back end where the email comes in, they take a look at it, they assign it as complaint, bug, whatever. They probably have a ignore comment or trash can comment, and then they'll have a reply, it'll feel automated. It could be, that indicates that someone looked at it, and then they'll never look at it
Here's
again.
why I say that. So, I don't know if you're aware, this last week, I may or may not have talked shit to a graphic designer, likely Russian, that came into my chat, right? And yep. It gets to be where it's like, we've talked about this before. It's fucking enough. So long story short on the deal, this son of a bitch ends up follow botting me on Twitch to the tune of an additional 2,000 followers.
You made it.
Yeah, I made it.
Success.
I can apply for partner now. Yay. Yeah, not really. But anyway, so I'm like, not only did my mods file tickets or whatever, but I also sent one via their website email or whatever. And I got this automated response back, and it's been over a week, and I have not heard anything back. And like, that's the kind of shit, like that's why I say it feels like nobody reads fucking emails anymore when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something that they can tackle, or there's it'll basically get categorized, and they'll clear out that category at some point, and they'll just select all, reply generic.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll remove these followers. They're not mine. I didn't earn them. I don't want them.
0%.
Dude, it was wild while it was happening too.
Kick file, I got that happened to me on Kick. I picked up like 1,500 or something before I ended my stream.
Yeah,
and they don't do shit. They never take it down.
Here's the thing, like I said, this dude just comes in, it's literally the same fucking script. And I think this is what ticked the guy off. I'm like, dude, do you guys have a different script you might be able to use? Because the one you use is fucking terrible. Like, it's literally, hello. And then I'm like, they're like, I like the vibes of your stream. It's been on for 2 minutes. Wow, nice, awesome gameplay. I'm warming up against bots. Like, I like the vibe of your stream. Like, come on, dude. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's the problem, right? There's not a lot of a lot of these graphic designers are not, a lot of them aren't even the graphic designer. They're somebody who's paid on commission, or they run dozens of bot accounts or whatever, and they're just paid to get people hooked, and then they can hook them up with the person that actually owns the account they're talking to you from.
Yeah, but then to follow bot me afterwards tells me immediately that was a fucking scam anyway.
Well, yeah, that was the screw you on the way out. That was I did get a good laugh.
Desert was in here.
You know, thank you for entertaining
Yeah,
me.
Desert was in the chat as this whole fucking thing is going on. And I don't know. I evidently pushed this dude's buttons enough to where he fucking spent the next like 30, 40 minutes follow botting me. Like,
okay, so you want to talk about petty?
That's me.
So when my first job out of college, I ran an e-commerce system, and basically, my job was to run an e-commerce version of a brick and mortar store. And so the owners were Chinese, right? It was two sisters that owned this company together, and they were both immigrated from China, and so they would call family, right? So there were like 4 or 5 family members that all, you know, worked together at this business, and they would call, and then me, and it was, you know, the food was, when they did lunch, it was fantastic.
Dude, you're making me fucking hungry right now. I love me some Asian food, bro.
I learned how to make pot stickers, and oh boy, yeah. Anyway, now I'm hungry, but they used to call China all the time, right? Talk to relatives, and so back in those days, you know, we didn't have voice over IP. You had to do it like a toll number, right, or a long distance call number to get like a good rate. And so it was like, you know, the popular one was 10-10-321. Do you remember that? No. So the popular thing was like, it would be like, you would call like 10-10-321, and then you would call your number, and you'd be charged an international rate that was cheaper than using local, you know, phone companies to call long distance. You know, and text messages cost 5 cents at this time and all that shit, right? So back in the Stone Age, but there were competing long distance numbers, right? So there'd be like 10-10-321 and 10-10-546, right? And they would call each other's customers and try and convince them to come over and use their service. And so every day, because they'd always, you know, it was a small business, right? So they just would call from the business. So the number these companies had on file was the same number that I had to use to make calls in the morning. So I would get in first thing in the morning, and I'd start at 8 a.m. and at 8:10, I would get a call from one of these competing services than the one that they offer. And it was always the same dude every time. And he was from India. And so it was like, it always had that accent. It was just, and he just had the same script every time. It was like, you know, he never deviated from it. And it was so frustrating because it just interrupted my morning, right? And I'd have to answer it, and I have to tell him no, and listen to his pitch, and log him off because I wasn't allowed to hang up on people like without good reason. Finally, I'd had enough, and one day he calls, and his script would be like, "Hello, I'd like to, you know, ask if you could switch. You know, I see that you are a customer of our competitor 10-10-321. I would like you to try out 10-10-546." And finally, I said one day, "I'm sorry, my religion doesn't permit me to use the telephone." And he's confused, and he says, "But sir, you are on the phone with me right now." "Oh my God, look what you made me do." Hung up the phone.
Oh my God, dude.
He never called back. It was pinnacle of my time there.
That's fucked up, dude. And it's just one of those things that it's like, there are so many scams that are like just coming at you literally all fucking day. You know, like Twitter, like the people who are asking to have messages with you that are like all these supposed hot chicks or whatever, like that shit. You got the, hey, your package at the USPS can't be delivered. Click on the link to check the tracking. You know, you get those kind of texts. And I'm like, never, no, I'm not clicking on that shit at all. But like, it's just scam after scam, always trying to fuck people out of money. If they spend as much time actually trying to go get a real goddamn job or do the right thing, they'd probably make as much money or maybe more, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah. But I'm glad to see, when we as a community do, you know, come together and actually start speaking out and logging off. I think those are the two things that are important together, because I think a lot of people just quietly turn off and don't come back. and then Activision and these companies, they don't know why, right? They can't tell you why, so they have to look at their data and they have to say, well, people are logging off, so we have to fix something, right? And that's, they'll fix SBMM or they'll fix more bundles or whatever they're doing, right? To try and bring you back. If you log off and you raise hell about why you logged off, and you get enough people that are all doing the same, then they turn around and they say, oh, we made a mistake. And I think that's important, right? It's important that we as a community not just deny them the things that they want when they misbehave, right? Kind of like children, but you also reward them. You tell them why, you tell them what they did wrong, and then you reward them when they do right? You praise them when they put it back. So everybody makes mistakes. When they make mistakes and then they put them back, you say, oh, good job. I'm glad you listened. Don't do it again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like we've been pretty fair over the last year or two when we've been doing this, and when them or another studio do something good, we make it a point to praise that studio, and when they don't, we criticize. And again, this is not, we owe it to the people that tune in and listen, and to the people that download our episodes to give an honest assessment of how we feel that things are going. Like that's why we do what we do, right? Like, so,
yep.
I'm not going to hop on here and have this like toxic positivity that everything's fucking great and like gaslight the community when I know damn well it ain't. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. But how have you been playing any Black Ops 6 lately?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 to 3 hours a night, every night.
Okay.
Since it came out.
Yeah. I think you might have actually more time logged on that than I do.
Because I'm not logging nearly as much in Warzone, but yeah, I think I've surpassed you. Certainly in score per minute.
Yeah, whatever. Dude, I'm playing with. Okay, so I posted a week or two ago the screenshot of what my team looked like. It was like, I'm a master prestige, and then my teammates were like level 17, almost, I swear to God, it felt like a free weekend. Level 17 and like a level 23 against what I swear were probably teamed up like 4 stack of at least 4 master prestiges. That's the kind of shit like distribution that I'm still seeing on a regular basis as I'm running multiplayer. Because again, I'm running a lot of that by myself. And it's very, very, it's frustrating to me. Like, dude, we played a kill confirmed match. I think it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before, I think. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. This dude had like 19 kills. Cool, right? You know how many tags he had? He had fucking 3.
3.
And we ended up losing by like 5 or so, something like that. Like something wild. Like I had like 23 tags. Like you know what I mean? Like that's the frustrating thing about playing with randoms, and like they don't play the objective. They just play for kills. It's like the problem is you can't get enough kills to really do anything in TDM. So then they have to go play the objective modes.
You know what? One of the interesting things about this year's camo grind is, because I'm almost done. I have 9 more guns to finish, and then I'm calling it quits. Is the gameplay really does it? The grind this year really does help gameplay. It encourages gameplay, right? Unlike previous years where you have to like, you have to get shot. What is it? Penetration kills.
Oh my god, yeah.
Right. Where it's like, okay, there's only a few places on some maps you can do that, right? Or long shot kills where it's like there's only some maps that have snipers that can, sniper long shot kills. Period. End of story. It's just not a thing in a lot of in certain maps, right? So the objective becomes really secondary. This year, the challenges, the vast majority of them really do work out with playing modes and playing the game, which has been really fun. Because I've been able to be, except for 5 kills without dying, because that really encourages camping the shit out of things. Sorry, everybody who's played with me. But the yeah, being able to play the objective and grind camos at the same time has been really rewarding. So it's, I've spent most of the year at the top of the leaderboard, with objective and kills, and it's been great.
I've been grinding camos a little bit too. I just started. I'm
Ooh.
almost to get the PP 919 gold. I have the Jackal
in Warzone or
in multi. I have the Jackal gold, the C9. I just kind of started with the SMGs a little bit. I'm not sure what I'm gonna work because I just want to see if I can get them diamond or not. I did actually in Warzone finally get my XM4 gold.
People just aren't popping UAVs enough.
Oh yeah, I probably won't get that far down the rabbit hole. I'm probably gonna look at it'll probably be so for the camo thing for me, it'll likely be the ARs, the SMGs, and the snipers. I probably won't fuck with much of anything else. But yeah, like so I got that that XM4 with that tiger stripe gold for Warzone. That mastery camo, not the next one, not the one that looks like fucking crown jewels, but the one that's like the black, you know what I'm talking about? The black
Opal
reactive,
or whatever it's called.
That shit is dope, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they've got some good ones on that. Dark Spine is probably one of my favorites for a while. So it's kind of not, it's the multiplayer third tier mastery, which is get 3 kills without dying. Get 3 triple kills per gun, which some of these guns getting triple kills is a fucking nightmare.
It's not a nightmare with that 100-round mag on that XM4.
That's just one gun, dude.
No, I'm just fucking.
It's just one gun.
I'm just kidding, bro. But yeah, like it. So I found, and I think part of the reason I never did the camo grind before is because, like, I would look at some of the challenges, and it'd just be like, fucking jump off a rock, do a 360, go prone, no scope somebody. And it's like, and do that 18 times or 20 times, and I'm like, I don't have time for all that. So
Well, Vanguard was like that, right? It had a lot of challenges. There were a lot of guns that got to a certain point, and like I would have all the tough stuff done for gold, but then you look at like the challenge, and there'd be like 3 challenges that are like you have to be building a certain. It'd be like use a gun with a certain barrel and a certain optic or a certain stock or something, and you look at it and you're like, that's a terrible combination. Who would want that?
That's like fucking John Wick, the impossible challenge to get out of the fucking Bratva or get out of the fucking the high table shit.
And I just remember looking at it being like, it doesn't look fun to me. I'm not gonna mess with it, and so I wouldn't mess with it. And so I think that's kind of one of those things that like previous camo challenges have had a lot of that in them. And Modern Warfare 2 was really the first one that I looked at and I said that challenge seems reasonable. I didn't think about how miserable long shots would be until I was in it, but otherwise it was a very reasonable challenge, and so it seemed attainable, and I decided I was going to go after it. Then and then that was the first game I grind did any kind of camo grind on.
So did you do it on any of the previous Call of Duties like that we had? No? See, I never did either. I didn't even.
I'd gotten a couple of golds. I got a couple of golds in a couple of guns gold in 2019 just by playing it, right? But it wasn't something that was on it. And by the time that I really kind of was deeply invested in it, Warzone was out, and so a lot of the challenges weren't really achievable in Warzone.
Right.
So I just didn't have enough time I wasn't playing multiplayer enough at that point to care.
I think that my all-time favorite like grindy camo that I've seen is actually Obsidian from 2019. That just fucking black, and they kind of brought it back with Modern Warfare 3, like on the where you could get, but it was reactive versus the other one. I don't think that was reactive, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it just was motion. It was just movement.
Yeah.
They kind of went away from reactive camos,
but there's some good ones.
Kind of an L. Yeah.
Did you see the Squid Games M4? Like for that event, like for the $10 premium? Like, did you see that? Dude, pull it up and look at it. It's fucking legit, dude. Right. It's the very first M4 on the premium where like you pay the $10. I am part of the problem too, by the way.
The green one.
No. No, it's the XM4. It's the very first one. It's in the yellow under the event tab.
Oh, I've seen it. I just didn't look at it.
See, I think that's sweet, dude.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I
I'll have
bought
to find
that
it.
shit because that end operator, like, I feel like Rose 2.0.
You would be the problem that would run that.
Hey, listen, I never did that shit before, but you know what, man? I'm tired of getting fucking hoed on by all this kind of shit. So,
I'm not saying I'm not too.
you know, but yeah, like and I tweeted earlier this week, you know, because we're kind of talking camo grinds and weapon skins and operators and stuff like that. Like, they have come out with some really good camos and bundles over the last, I would say, since even Modern Warfare 2. And I mean, even in 2019, they had some then. But what I really wish they could figure out a way to accomplish is if you change an attachment, it doesn't change the aesthetic of the gun, because
they can do that. They did They did that with the Vault editions.
Yeah, but see, like
the weapon
now,
vaults,
like
and they went away from that.
That camo, like that XM4 right there. If you change any of the attachments, it screws with the aesthetic. It doesn't look the same. You don't get the same vibe.
Well, yeah, that's always been the thing, right? And they're fixed that with certain builds, certain ones, the legendary or the mastery, whatever they call it. There's a certain class of them that are usually a bit on the more expensive side, that have that ability that you don't lose.
Is that hard to do?
You don't lose the look to it.
Technologically, like from, do you think from like a development?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like,
okay, I'll put it this way. It depends. It depends, right? Because the way that they design this is that they take each individual component and they decorate them, right? So, you know, you have the middle of the gun, the main gun. You know, the mag will have the specific mag has a decoration to it. The handguard, you know, the barrel will have a decoration to it. And because every piece that you put on changes that, right? They have to go through and they have to create a decoration for every attachment that it'll affect for it. So really realistically, for MW 2019 guns, probably not too hard. Maybe Vanguard would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because that bitch had like 10 attachments, and then now with the gunfighter, you get 8 on this.
And so realistically, you know, what they probably should do is pick you know, a barrel, a chassis, like, you know, the receiver, whatever, and either the stock or the mag or you know, something, and be like, that's where the most of the decoration goes, and then everything else is whatever.
Right.
And I think that would make it more reasonable for them, because there are fewer stocks and fewer barrels, right, out there for every weapon. And so you can more reasonably do it. But it's like, how many optics do we have? We have a shit ton of optics.
And most of them are useless class, too. Right? I mean, they really are.
It's a lot of personal preference, to be honest.
But you know what, though, dude? So this is something that I did notice. Take that XM4 with that 100-round mag. When you run the 100-round mag on like the regular multiplayer gold XM4, there's black accents to it, right? That are on the mag. If you run the diamond, so like if you have that diamond and you run diamond, those accents go away and the drum is straight gold.
It depends on... You're talking about layering the mastery camo over top of the event camo?
No, I'm talking about just being able to, like... I guess what I'm pointing that out for is that they're able to make it different, because you're talking the same magazine is a different color with going from a gold XM4 to the diamond XM4, which the diamond weapons are all accented in gold this year. So it's diamond and gold.
Yes.
So like that drum is 100% gold, whereas on the gold gun, that's got all the black accents on it, and it's got that on the drum too.
Yeah. I mean, they can do that. It's just, you know, messing with stuff with mastery camos versus messing with stuff with, you know, other elements. You know, it's just it's a question of legwork and effort, right? And so I don't I know that they've mentioned it before
Mhm.
in interviews and notes that basically it's a pain. It's not impossible. It's just a pain in the butt. And I know this year they said they were doing that. I think some of the launch bonuses. So like the Marine SP has a camo that if you bought the Vault Edition is pretty kind of zombie
Oh yeah.
weird color
Yeah.
thing. That one you can mess with and it doesn't radically alter it. Like all the features stay with it.
Yeah, because that was the
And
thing
so
on the Jackal too, because the Jackal is the other one that you got with that. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's out there. But you know, I think from a cost perspective, it just cost a lot more money, and they preferred just not to spend that.
And you know what though,
on their end.
I will say that I wonder if they wouldn't sell more bundles, and if they did kind of simplify that and make it to where it didn't do that, because I know people that know that it will change the aesthetic of the gun. So they're like, why would I buy the bundle? I'm not going to run these shitty attachments on here. Like that XM4, taking it into, so like that Squid Games XM4, taking that into Warzone, I ran it one match and then I'm like, nope, not doing it. It's just not good.
Yeah. I'm going to break form and apologize to Frund about misnaming him in episode 67. I think I credited Hecksmith with his work. I apologize.
You son of a bitch. This is the kind of bullshit we talk about in our after show meetings, man.
Retraction.
God damn.
But yeah, no, I think at the end of the, so here's the thing with bundles, right? I think $20 is their limit, unless it's really, really special and comes with a lot of stuff. And I think part of the problem is that, you know, they've kind of hit their limit. Like 24, like you look at the bundles and it's like 2,400 COD points. You can expect either either an operator skin and a bundle, or a weapon blueprint, or like a really good weapon blueprint, or you can expect like two or three weapon blueprints, and a bunch of knickknacks thrown in. And it's kind of like they've got kind of like a measure of like how much is it worth for $20. And so when you when you go and examine that that pricing, trying to add to it, I think what you'd end up with is they would end up having to take enough stuff out of the bundle that people would be frustrated. Like people wouldn't understand the value, and I think it wouldn't be as important to them to have it not change around, right? Versus, you know, versus other bundles which might have 2 or 3 different skins, right, that are close enough that they can make them work. So I think from a pricing standpoint, it's a harder pitch to the consumer, to us, to do that, which is why we're not seeing it very often.
Did you see that some of these blueprints, like, you can't fucking see what you're aiming at? Like, there was 2. There was one that was green, and there was another one. Now, granted,
a purple
I'll
one.
say this. They were still shots, so I didn't actually see video to see if they function and if that's actually, like, factual, like what it looks like. But yeah, it looked like they released like.
Oh, we used one of those. I had a video and people were pointing that out, that you can't see anything. The one where I was on the rail,
on the right side at Stakeout.
No, in Warzone. I went to slide down the stairs and I ended up on the chair rail, and then died. Absolutely, I couldn't see anything. When you're shooting, you can't really see anything on that blueprint very well. And so that's been an issue, and I think that is designers just cranking ideas out and not really playtesting it to see if it works, and to see if it's like viable. They're just cranking it out. Does it function? Send it to the store, and they probably have a different path to get their products into the game, versus like actual developers who have to develop stuff.
It's probably more expedited too.
Absolutely. Store's got to work first, right? You see,
some of that stuff is fucking wild that they have. Like, they got one, I think it's like an XM4 bundle that like spits out, and I think those are gumballs that are spitting out, and some shit like spinning. It's like, dude, I'm entirely too fucking old
There's a lot
for
going
that
on
shit.
with that.
That shit would just distract the hell out of me, dude. I have a hard enough time shooting straight as it is. I can't be distracted by that.
They had that new suitcase gun, whatever it was called.
I still have not fucked with that gun, dude.
It's trash.
I got clapped by it a couple times.
I take that back. It's not completely trash. And if you want to build an 8 attachment sniper and you throw that in there as your secondary, right? Because you can't throw an SMG in there. It's not bad as like a last chance SUV. It's better than a pistol.
Are you talking for Warzone or for multi or both?
Warzone.
Okay.
Warzone. I don't use secondaries in multi. If I get to that point,
it depends on what loadout it is. it honestly, for me, like in my sniper class, I have because I'm trying to finish up that AMR, and I'm really close to being able to do that. But I have my secondary as whatever SMG I'm working on at the time, so that way I can kind of like, if I have to move, I just pull that out. Because trying to move with that fucking AMR, dude, forget it. You may as well. It'd be like trying to like move with a fucking 18-foot 2x4 and then try to get it level.
That's the thing with these builds. So here, we were supposed to have Alex on here this week, and unfortunately he had Alex with Warzone Loadout. He had some personal things come up, and we have to shift dates around, so we're still chasing that interview. But one of the things that's interesting about the 8 attachments is the way the attachments function this year, which I think I like a lot better than previous years, where it's like certainly better than Modern Warfare 2, where everything just creates delays, right? Slows you down, delay. Freaking delay zone, right? The 8 attachments and the attachments that we have, they don't come with a lot of cons, right? So you can so I found I can build my snipers, I can build stability and movement together and have both of those things without either one dragging each other down. And so it's like, I don't even bother messing with it. There's no point in the secondary because I can have all the mobility stuff and all the accuracy stuff in the gun at the same time. And I don't get cons. Like, yes, please. I'll take 2. And so I don't mess, I end up not even messing with a secondary. So that's, what is it? The Siren or something it's called. I'll just throw that on as a secondary in case I like the rare instance I run out of ammo and I have to go do something. If I'm sniping,
I have not gotten into any of the other pistols. Like I got to the whatever that G45 pistol is, like after and that's the one I run pretty much as my secondary.
It's the Warzone standard one, right?
I think so. And I mean, honestly, dude, like I don't really like the pistols. Like I don't like the first 2 because the first one doesn't do enough damage. And the second one, it's an eternity between cycling from round 1 to 2. And you're already fucking dead if somebody's either beating you to death or finds some other kind of weapon. Like there's no way to like actually like, the pistols for the last couple iterations of like Warzone specifically were really good because you could fire off rounds at a decent rate, right?
You have to be very accurate for the current pistol to be really effective. I've gotten some decent kills on it in Warzone, dropping in on people when the game lets me get into it with them right away. But I've gotten some good kills, so I've almost got that one gold in Warzone just off of playing, dropping in and going after people who drop solo.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, because it's like people love to go for the for contracts that are like lame, right? And so they'll drop in on what is it? The supply. They'll drop in on the supply one,
Intel one,
and then they'll drop
one.
and the Intel, right? It's kind of like you don't need me for that. But I'll see like one little parachute kind of going over here by himself, and I'm like, hey, I see you. You and I are gonna dance. Yeah. And most of the time they're not ready for it. So enjoying that. But yeah, so I've gotten pretty decent at that pistol, but it's still not great.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's not my favorite.
It's not a deal breaker.
Pistols this year just aren't great. They're just not fun. I feel like the pistols this year are kind of like backseating.
You know what's crazy is they could have gone with like a 9.2 FS. You know, they could have gone with one of like a Beretta type. Like that was the actual standard sidearm pistol, if I remember correctly, for the military in the Gulf War.
It was.
You know, so they could have gone with.
Instead, they give us like a Glock 45.
What's that?
Instead, they give us a Glock 45, basically.
Yeah, and you know, isn't it interesting though the approach? So the difference in approach between like say like Call of Duty in as far as weapons go versus like, you know, gray zone warfare. We talked to Rick last week as far as like them getting with manufacturers and those kind of things. And then this week, it turns out it was kind of revealed. I saw in a tweet where it was revealed that they don't choose like actual weapon names on purpose because of like liability and being sued, because unfortunately, Call of Duty is being sued right now by the families of the Uvalde victims.
Just ridiculous. I mean,
it is, but you kind of see just like the difference in approach, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, and let's back it up further. You know, they pulled it in MW2 way before this stuff happened because Kalashnikov got very litigious over their over their brands, because people were just using AK-47s left and right, and they weren't paying for the trademark. And that gun, I mean, you know, it's like anything else, right? It's like you can't put a Ford F-150 into a game without paying Ford, right? You can put a truck that looks like an F-150 and call it the S-150.
Well, I mean, look what they did with that Hummer in what was that, last year? That was last year, right? Or was that Al Mazrah?
Year before, Al Mazrah had the Hummer.
Yeah, and then this year with that with the Polaris, they're doing that with the Polaris, that vehicle or whatever. So yeah, it was just I found that was interesting. What's going on, Face? How you doing, buddy? But anyway, so yeah, I mean, like I've played Black Ops 6 a bit. I mean, I usually try to play a decent amount, you know, the last week or so, and it's been all right. I mean, like I said, you know, the biggest thing to me is like what's eating me up is just the, you know, when I'm running solo and I'm losing a lot like that. I care about winning and losing. I just do. I'm just built that way. I do. And
well, you're who SBMM is built for. You're built to take the hits,
evidently. But you know, and just the team spread, that's been kind of messed up. But I mean, like overall, it's been decent. I mean, I'm still having fun, and it does feel like it's a 50-50 split a lot of times, because I'm not like going on like long like losing streaks or anything. It's like I might win 2 or 3, and then I'm going to lose 2 or 3, and then I'm going to win 1 or 2, and it's like at that point I can tell that they've got the fucking puppet strings going on that bitch, you know, and I'm being manipulated for sure.
Well, it definitely, I feel like they're definitely weighting more on team balance than actual lobby balance compared to previous games. Because previous games, it was like you would just get, you know, you were fodder for top 250s and whatnot for a long time. And it would be like you'd win 2 games and it would just be a long losing streak until you like lost your way out of it. And that, you know, that's previous games. That's how it's felt to me. Is you play, you know, you play well for a couple, like you string 2 or 3 good games together, and you're just hosed for a while. And I know Warzone's like that a lot. In multiplayer, I feel like it hasn't been like that. You know, it's been a little bit more balanced, which, you know, tells me that they're probably balancing it more at the team level than they are in the lobby itself. But, you know, well, who knows? Who knows what they're actually doing?
I'll actually concur with that, because so before it would be a thing where I would be going in previous games, go into lobbies like that and just get shit on repeatedly after having a few good matches. Now I feel like it is about the team balancing, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like that's even doing a good job. Because like I said, when I'm teamed up and I'm just slightly above average, you know what I mean? And I'm teamed up with an actual level like 15 or whatever, and a couple of those, and then I'm going up against a team full of like 4 master prestiges. And I'm not saying that the master prestige thing equates to skill, but it's still like how the distribution of it is, right? Like you're giving me people who
But
don't
I mean,
even play the game hardly, and I'm fucking going against people who
and you're giving
play.
people. Let me ask you this, and people in chat can chime in on this. Do you feel like somebody who stays at level 55 is a little on the sus side, more so than people that prestige through?
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I'll say to you. I have a couple friends that don't really want to prestige because they don't want to lose their shit. They don't play enough. I mean, they play, but they don't. I think they don't want to deal with like having to regrind. And then I look at the other thing too, is like, we know that the kill cams have been wrong with some of the ranks. Like there's been glitches at times where it's like, it'll show a level 1 or something. So you're like a level 1 with mastery camo. What the fuck? And it's like, okay, so is that also happening with the level 55? Because what I'm seeing a lot is level 55, like the first level 55s, like where it's like circle with the 5 stars.
Unprestiged.
Yeah, they have not prestiged yet. I am seeing that a lot. So it's like, I don't know if that's a glitch or if people are just choosing not to prestige, which if you choose not to prestige, fine. I don't care. I'm going to do it. Well, I'm done, but you know what I mean.
I'm on halfway through
Okay.
9th right now. So I should be done in 2 weeks, within the next 2 weeks.
Especially if you can get like a double XP week, like another double XP weekend.
I'm just popping tokens. Everything's double XP for me.
Dude, I'm going to save them. I don't think I'm going to use any double XP tokens the rest of this cycle.
Why would you?
Because then I can just, if they'll let us roll them over for legacy tokens for the next game.
They learned their lesson, I think, on that. Again, going back to the previous topic about letting them know that they're making a mistake, reminding them. But yeah, I've had some fun in almost done the grind in multi. I'm still enjoying multi. I think multiplayer was a success this year. I think for all the negativity that Call of Duty is getting, their multiplayer game was an overall 8.5.
Yeah. Well, we have people that are going to be like, it's fucking terrible. Like the whole thing's terrible. Every map is dog shit. I don't feel that way. I feel like there are 2 bad maps and then the rest are either decent or good, and I have no issues with. And I agree with you. I like the multiplayer. It's actually fun to me. Whereas like, other people just don't really feel that way, and that's fine. I mean, they can feel that way, but to me, the game's not as bad as far as the multiplayer side of it as people are making. And I think that people are conflating Warzone into Black Ops 6 unfairly. Whereas a difference. So let's look at a difference though. When everyone had issues with Warzone 2, they were rightfully critical of Modern Warfare 2 because those 2 things were hand in hand as far as like how the
problems, the things that people didn't like were the same thing.
Exactly. Like, so that was rightful criticism, but here I don't think it is.
Well, Warzone 2 was, or not Warzone 2, Black Ops 6 at release was really popular. People really liked it. They literally, the maps aside, which we all know maps get added in as time goes on. The maps aside, the game was really well received. People really liked it. And then Warzone dropped and everybody I'm sorry, but the ball was dropped.
Integration.
The bag was missed. Defeat was snatched straight from the jaws of victory with that. And I understand. Now that they've released more information and I've heard things and seen stuff and leaks and things. So I understand more of why we are in the situation that we are in. But good Lord, they are running out of time to fix it.
Well, the first 2 things that they really got to tackle is the connectivity and stability of the servers. Like that's.
I still can't play the damn game. I can play boot camp. I can play. I've played all the modes, and as of yesterday, the BR gives me around 7. Anything on the big map, the normal size big map, I get around 7% packet loss. Just constantly, unless I get thrown into like a random server. There was a weird server I got thrown into with a weird ping. It was like 80 millisecond ping. I was playing with our buddy Crossbow Mike, and he pulled me halfway around the world, I think. And so I only had 2% packet loss, but I had an 85 millisecond ping.
That's rough.
Which that's not a good combination. But you know, I pulled some closer to home, and I was at 7%, which is not great either. I think packet loss is worse than latency, because at least with latency you can kind of guesstimate where someone's going to be. Packet loss, they just disappear and reappear behind you. But it's been miserable. Resurgence starts usually the game pre-game lobbies at like 15% packet loss, and by the time I hit the ground after the drop, I'm at 30. And so that's worthless. What's it called? I tried to play the squid mode and it crashed.
I didn't play that.
I crashed on that. And so and plunder's at 7%. But at least with plunder, you get to keep coming back and you don't have to like fight for your shit. So it's more manageable. And I've gotten better at playing with packet loss, unfortunately for me. So I could have some fun in plunder. The only mode that I have less than 4% routinely has been boot camp.
Why?
And it's 0 to 3%, because I think there's only 10 people in it.
Oh.
Or 20 people or whatever it is. I think it's just there's so few people that the servers just have, you know, it's Warzone but loaded on with, you know, very few people in it. So I think the servers have little more room to breathe. So, you know, so at least I've been playing Warzone. I can talk about problems with Warzone because that 100-round mag is absurd. Anybody who says otherwise is a bot, because that thing is insane. Like, it's so stupid.
I do want to talk about that, but let's...
And I say that as someone who is running it, you know, because it's just so stupidly, obviously, the gun. It is what you should run. Like, there's no point in running anything else, because you'll just mow them down and their buddy and the guy behind him, and you still have rounds left.
I want to talk about that, but I want to kind of circle back on the stability side. So from a stability thing on my end of it, I'm disconnecting, or someone in my party is disconnecting. It seems like I probably get a couple disconnects a night at least, and then everyone else will disconnect at least once or twice too. And you know what they did in ranked play, which we're going to talk about ranked in a few minutes, is they made it to where now there's no SR penalty if you disconnect. But the one thing though that I'm a little concerned about is, and they had to address this before, is the Alt F4 abuse that people were doing because they didn't want to lose SR. So hopefully they've got a plan for that. You know, they just released a tweet earlier saying that they, you know, they're going to suspend the penalty for that and things like that. But
they said it only accounts through the pregame lobby, because that's where the error is.
Well, I mean, we're actually
they pinned it to a loading screen, and they said the loading screen is crashing the game for some players, and then costing them the SR and the suspension.
So that's not even, they're not even talking about just the other DCs that actually happen in the fucking game.
That's what I read. That's what I gathered. That
actually makes sense. I mean, yeah. All right.
And so if you crash out or back out in the pregame lobby, which still is not helpful for if you're lobby surfing, you're still gonna, you know, cheese your way a little bit here. But if you just crash out, you know, if you crash out in that scenario, then you're not penalized. But they said in the patch notes that if you start the game and quit out, that you will receive the loss of SR.
Okay. So let's talk about Warzone for a second. So this is what I'll say about Warzone. Pubs is actually pretty decent. The pub side of it is fairly decent. I'm not having, you know, a huge issue in it. The matchmaking seems pretty decent, that kind of thing. Like, pubs is fine. Now, with that being said, to your point, just a minute ago, the 100-round mag is a fucking menace to this game. It legitimately is. And I posted a clip, not because I'm trying to brag that I did something great or anything like that, but just to show.
I saw this clip.
Huh? Yeah, but you can see, I'm able to move with no mobility restrictions at all. So, like, there was no issues there. I had already killed one guy on that roof a couple seconds before. Then his buddies come up the other side. I go around, and I'm able to, get over there quickly with no mobility penalty. And B, I'm able to kill them both without ever letting off of the trigger. Not once did I let off the trigger. Like, now imagine that and how bad that is in ranked, especially when you start getting up into the upper tier lobbies, which actually I can't even say that anymore because we're going to talk about that matchmaking here in a second. But think about this. You're talking in trios, it's 300, and in quads, it's probably it's 400 rounds in about 8 to 10 seconds. It's that fucking fast. Like, that many rounds are coming down range at you with no recoil, by the way. So it's a problem. I don't know exactly how they can address it. I think at the very least it should be restricted and ranked, and then they got to figure out something for pubs. But it's not as bad as the battle ready cheese, but it's pretty goddamn close.
Yeah, it's just so look. Like I said, I've been playing boot camp because it's the only mode that actually freaking works. Which has been a great ego booster. Don't get me wrong. I played last night. Everybody, threw me in. I jumped in solo. So solo quad in boot camp, I dropped 22 and a W, and it ended. That firehouse. There's that firehouse. Kind of where is it? It's kind of in the northwestern quadrant, a little bit south of Popov. Circle ended there, and it was one of those warehouses where it's like you have the peak in the middle, like the triangular peak in the middle, and has those glass windows. And so I knew he was up there, and I got up the ladder, and I could hear him creeping around. And so I went through one window, through the other window, and came around behind him, and he didn't understand what had happened to him. I'll post the clip. If you didn't know it was boot camp, you'd be like, "Oh, that's a cool clip." And then I executed him for the win.
Nice.
Because
I haven't played any boot camp.
Yeah, if you play it with a full squad, that's not very nice. But I will tell you this: if SPMM and pubs is a problem, it's because all the bad players are in boot camp, and a lot of really good players are in boot camp. I've run into names. I won't name them, but I've run into names I recognize, and I'm like, that's where your clips are coming from, because it ain't pubs.
Pubs actually is not bad. You guys know that matchmaking is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and I can tell you the matchmaking in pubs right now is probably the best it's felt to me in a very long time. Now, that could be a combination of things. Maybe I'm playing better. I am taking a different approach on a few things. Maybe that might be the case. But I'm going to tell you where matchmaking is fucked, and it's in that ranked mode. Because here's the deal, and I've tweeted about this a few times. I'm a gold 3 now, but as soon as I got into gold lobbies, I was consistently having Crimson, Erie, and top 250 players in my lobbies every fucking match. So we're going to back up to the beginning of ranked. So you factor that in, and then you add in the battle ready cheese with the fucking advanced UAV, and now you add on top of that a 100-round magazine on a no recoil weapon. Now, how's that experience going to be?
Here's what I want to point out about the 100-round mag on the XM4 and why that's a big deal versus other guns. The XM4, because remember, there are very few penalties for attachments, and while the 100-round mag does carry some penalties, the penalties it applies are minimal on a gun that's already a high mobility gun. So you can build a high mobility, high impact weapon with 100 rounds in it, and you can run and gun with that thing, versus the XMG, which is an LMG, which is slow. It is slow to switch over. It's slow to pull out It's slow to ADS compared to the XMG. And if you run and gun with that, you can find yourself facing enemies in closer situations than you want with a gun like that. Right? It's more akin to something to stand off and hold at range, the way an LMG should be. So when you take all the pros of an AR and you give it LMG capabilities, right, and it has no recoil, like, that's where the problem is, and high skilled players will just destroy lobbies with it. All right, that's the problem. And so in ranked specifically, because you are being competitive, you want it to be challenging enough that you're not faced with one person who can stand off a foursome without letting off the trigger, right? Much less 3. And so I think having finally dug in and finally, frankly, unlocked the SMG. This is another thing that I think we should add on, is how flippin' long it takes to level a gun up. I got the XM4 mastery, and I didn't have the 100-round mag unlocked. Think about that for a minute. Mastery done.
Well, and they just
not leveled up all the way.
Added the armory back. I saw a tweet about that too, where you could do that and track the challenges, because I think that was broke for a little while, or they removed it.
Well, they didn't. Yeah,
because we had the armory last year.
Yeah, the armory came
where
back.
you could do that. Like,
well,
unlock
you could pick and but I think that's for unlocking stuff
but
from
to
previous
your
games
point,
or stuff you
yes,
missed.
These weapons do take a very long time to max out. Like I
appreciate not having to level a gun up all the way before I start the camo grind, because that was a pain in the butt. All right, it really was. However, you should be able to, like, in the camo grind, finish the gun. Like, there should be enough XP in the bare minimum of kills in that gun in order to finish it. Like, if I hit mastery camo, I should be done.
Something that has been talked about some, but we haven't really talked about it much. But the XP rates are off.
And it's absurd. They're all over the place.
They're like 1.6 to 1.8 on double XP weekends. Like they don't actually add up to double XP.
Even base XPs are off.
Yeah, like
they're inconsistent. They're inconsistent. I won't say they're off. They're inconsistent, and nobody's figured out what's driving the inconsistency. If it's a bug, a defect, design, some underlying element that we don't understand.
Can I say this, brother? Again, I've said this before. For a company that likes...
If it starts with skill-based, I don't want to hear it.
For a company that likes their fucking algorithms, it's wild to me that combat records can't have been fucked up before. Counting kills and deaths has been off. And now XP is off, and it's not right either. Something's not right.
The question is, is it something could be right? If it's by design, and things that could be is they've talked about that. And so think about how they're dealing with ranked, right? Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, this could be going for XP. You could have ranked based or XP.
That's actually, I hadn't thought about that, but that could be true too. Like if you're killing lesser players, you ain't getting as much XP for it. I wonder if that, I'm not going to say that it is happening, but it could be. Which
means all you bastards who don't prestige, if that's true, you're screwing us. Thanks.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, so that's the issue with the XP, and then also the, like he was talking about with that 100-round mag, that's an issue. But I mean, I agree with Bronson. It's my theory also that they don't have enough players to fill ranked lobbies, because I can tell you in Al Mazrah ranked, I didn't start playing those types of players consistently until I hit diamond. And I'm in gold.
Yeah. I only ran into them when I ran with higher level players.
Dude, we ran into Huskers, Raul, and I forget who the other one is. Blasted us. Yeah, we killed them, but we were camping our dicks off. But we knew they were in the lobbies because I'm checking before. You press start and then down on I think your right or your left thumbstick, and you can kind of see who's in your lobby. I wanted to see who was in there. And we ended up working our way over to that buy station across the river that's got like the garage, like the auto place and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just kind of hunkered down camping for
outside, just south of Popov.
No, it was over by the manor. So the mansion, it's that one.
Yeah, okay.
But
and
by
one.
the stables, like the horse stables. But so we were just kind of camping in that building trying to for placement. Like we're not the type of players that, we don't, for ranked, we're going to play that a lot slower. Like, and because of where we're ranked, we're able to do that. Now, when you start getting up into Crim and Erie and top 250, you got to fucking just pop and push literally everything, or you're going to go negative in SR. Like, even if you place well, if you don't have a bunch of kills to go with it, you're not going to, they're not going to advance. So they're playing a different type of ranked game than than we are. And I had only played
Yeah.
ranked probably when it first came out, maybe 2 or 3 days, and then I stopped because of the battle ready cheese. And then I came back to it last week, and once they removed that first day they removed it, we hit it back up, and it was fun. But we went through a period too where like we just were being fucking just deleted like that quick, and I know that I'm not going to say every team because some of those teams were legit, but the last time I played ranked, so in a 4-match stretch, I went 1 SR, and then the last 2 matches of ranked that I've played in the last few days, I got shot in a stairwell from way across the street through a stairwell in a brick building. No way for them to know I was there. And then I got shot in a bathroom from outside of a brick wall on the other side, like through the brick. There was no way for them to know I was in that spot either.
Sounds like a skill issue personally.
Yeah, so
you need to upgrade your gaming chair and have better game sense.
Yeah, evidently. But I mean, we were again in a spot where we were trying to chill, and we've had teams grief us across the map before that have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cheating thing in ranked play is out of fucking control. Like, and you know me, dude. The cheating thing is not really a big, like, something I overly focus on. And I try to play devil's advocate like we talked about with Expel, right? Like, but when it's to a point to where I'm pointing out how bad it is, it's fucking bad, dude.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things of like, and I've even caught a few of them in multi before where it's like, you're just like, the kill cam just shows they just like appear, they just line up on your head, and as soon as you're in screen, toast. It's super frustrating. And it's like, it is not as common in multi right now. And I'm not playing multi-ranked, so, I can't speak to that. But in pubs, it's not quite as common as I think it's been in previous years. But I've seen so many ranked clips from so many people, high-ranking players and below, that it is arguably.
Yeah, normal guys are getting cheated on, in these ranked. And I'll tell you right now, there's probably no better time to play pubs than right now. Because it seems like, I'm not really running into cheaters that much in pubs, if at all.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think everybody that kills me is a fucking cheater, dude. Like, I play with guys who do. I play with guys who believe in a conspiracy that Activision's a part of it, believe it or not. And I just shake my head and move on. But anyway, I digress. Like I don't think that, but I noticed it in ranked for sure. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things too of like, we haven't seen a meaningful update to the anti-cheat this year. And I think that's really been apparent. And I'll say that this is probably one of the few downsides of this more unified engine that was probably an unanticipated issue, is that we don't get a honeymoon period between games anymore from the cheaters,
yeah, they just
right, because it's all the same, right? It's like a day off, they make some adjustments based on what the game is doing, and they basically can learn from the beta everything they need to know. And so by the time the game drops, right, they're in it. They're, the cheats are ready.
Sense.
And so I think that's an unanticipated consequence of this new system. And it's not something that I'm going to say is a problem. I think it's just a problem with how Call of Duty handles their anti-cheat. And I know I've ranted on this before, but it's like, we are past the point in which a passive anti-cheat is acceptable.
It needs to be always on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a point now where I agree with you on that. Like, fuck it, I have nothing to hide. They already know what you're looking at anyway. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, they know if they want. They're the largest tech companies in the world. If they want to know your fucking info, they're going to know it. So.
Well, and I think too, Microsoft. It's also maybe time that Microsoft itself invests in a unified anti-cheat for Windows. Right, we know they're capable of locking systems down and keeping you from being able to utilize stuff that's not approved, because they do it for Xbox and they do it very well. It's very hard to get unapproved hardware or software, and damn near impossible to get software to run on Xbox that's not approved. So why they can't do that for the PC, I don't understand. And it probably has to do with them having a specific boot system that just boots into a boots into a lockdown gaming mode that, you know, you run software that's approved, you can hook up hardware that's approved, and everything else gets shut off or it won't boot.
Yeah.
Right. That would solve DMA issues. That would solve traditional cheating in most regards. Right. You know, it would force you to move your cheats off of the PC and into a reactive intercept mode, right, where you put a standalone cheat box between your computer and your monitor, and it reads the signals going to your monitor or something, and then, you know, induces it. But that would largely remove things like ESP and walls, and limit aimbot to, you know, what AI can pick out visually, which is very doable. We've seen that demoed by monitor. Was it MSI, right? I think MSI had a monitor that could do that.
Yeah.
Last year. So, I mean, you know, that'll be the direction it goes in, but that at least that removes a huge chunk of the advantage. It really does. Like, you know, you won't have walls through it. You won't be able to see what's in boxes. You won't be able to to really differentiate what's going on until you can see, you know, you can see it, and that really changes things. So I think that direction is where they need to go. I don't know if they will do that. I don't know if they have the guts to do it, but, you know, they need to. Because you look at like Legends, or not Legends, Valorant, and their anti-cheat is renowned for being very efficient. There's still cheats on it. There's cheaters still get in, but they don't last very long.
Yeah.
They get cleaned out pretty quick.
And I think that's one of the things. So to me, you know, we talk about like the next topic of what needs to happen to get Warzone back on track is they got to fix the stability. They got to rein in these cheaters and be a little better about weapon balancing, which I will actually give them props because, you know, did you see Expel's video where he got clapped with those two shotties? I'm so fucking glad that they took him out. They've already addressed that. Good on them. I don't know why these shotguns just keep making it into wars. Like, you know what, dude? Take shotguns out of Warzone. Just don't even have them in there because every time they break the fucking game and they become a goddamn menace.
Yes, but I would say that they need to be more limited in terms of when they allow it. I would, you know, like, for example, I'm going to go back to what last year or 2 years ago, whenever the Lockwood 300, the over-under was broken, was one-shotting with the Maelstrom trigger. Think about it for a minute. They had an over-under double-barreled shotgun, which was effective in one-shotting, and they had a duck skin available to them, and they didn't have a mode where you hunted ducks. How do they miss that opportunity?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's like, you know, a mode where you hop in and like 10 guys are hunters and everybody else are ducks, and like, you know, like, can you not see that, like, the possibilities of how much money and how much fun they could
Their
make
marketing
with that?
team really fucking dropped the ball on that.
They just blew it, right? Dropped the ball. The opportunity was there, and they just were like, yeah. You know, and they nerfed the shotgun like the week it came out. So it was like the shotgun ended and then the ducks came out. And you're like, seriously? Come on, man.
Well, and I don't have a problem with the shotties in multiplayer. They're not really that big of a deal. It's just the
Marine SP is broken on small maps. They just
do not have a good history or track record in Warzone. You know, and neither do the snake shots, like the akimbo snake shots. Like that shit right there doesn't have good track record for Warzone and just allowing you know, the flow of it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think overall pubs is decent. Ranked needs some fucking work. Like, we just got to get a couple of these things wrapped up. And I mean, they are back from their break for those that aren't affected by the wildfires, of course. So I mean, you're going to see a trickle over the next 2 or 3 weeks of things being improved. You know, hopefully we can kind of get back on track and keep rolling. But are you playing anything else? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of games out that are fun right now.
I don't have time. It's been, been busy, but look, there's three things in my book. There's three things we need. Three things but that we need before Verdansk. Okay, servers have to run. They gotta fix it because my issues. Look, I am fully believing that the issues that I'm having with Warzone are how the game is routing my connection to the Warzone servers, and it's sending it through an area that's bad, right? Like however they're doing it, there's like a gateway, a primary gateway that's bad, and that's routing me through it. And that's why for me I can't play, and because I can't play on my PC and I can't play on my Xbox, right? I'm on the same connection on both. If I use my other internet, then I'm at the base of 70 millisecond ping plus whatever the actual ping to the server is. So that's no good. That's not playable. But the connection, whatever they did, because I don't have this in multiplayer, right? If I would 100% say, oh, I have bad internet if I couldn't play multiplayer, if I couldn't play boot camp, if I couldn't play zombies, right? If I can play these other games, I would say, yeah, it's my fault. And it's been my fault in the past. Like, I've had bad internet, right? Since I've been out here, it just happens. What I don't have, and it's just with this integration. It's just with Black Ops, right? Before MW3, I had great connection. 11 millisecond ping, no packet loss. MW2, no problem. Black Ops 6,
I still think it has to do with that ping threshold they threw in there to try to get people to quit VPNing and two-boxing.
Could be. I mean, again, and that would probably be a routing thing.
It could be circumstantial, but I mean, it's just, to me, if I'm looking at like just when this occurred, you know what I mean? It's like just very.
They messed with something and it screwed with it. But whatever it is, like, it has not worked since the integration. So whatever they did, it's not good. And the fact that nobody else is sitting there going, my connection's great, I never have a problem. Like, everybody has a problem all the time. Like, it's not every game for most people, but it's most game. Days. People, like you are somebody's getting DC'd out of your party every game, right?
Every day it happens a few times. Yeah, I'm not going to say every single match. I won't say that, but yeah.
Yeah. But every day, someone, every time you sit down and play, someone's getting DC'd out of a match. Warzone 1, somebody would get DC'd out of a match once a month.
Yeah.
And it was usually me, because it's usually my internet. Okay? So something's wrong. Servers need to be fixed. 2, the anti-cheat is just, it's like they didn't ship one with this version of Warzone. Okay? It's not working. It's a joke. It's not functioning. And it is 100% because it is not always on. 100% of their problems are because their cheat turns off. So everybody can get around it. Okay? They got to fix that. That's number 2. Number 3 is they have to stop making us play delay zone.
Yeah.
All of the problems that people have with moving and functionally getting around the map and getting around the game and getting into gunfights, all of the negative critique comes down to delays added to the game in Warzone 2. In Warzone 1, you didn't have these movements. And people have compared side by side parachuting, vehicles, gunfights, movement, stringing together movements, right? And the Omni movement, I don't think it's bad. I think it's a cool feature. However, there are delays between. You can't string together Omni movement things in most scenarios the way that you would intuitively want to. They intentionally slow you down.
What?
Right? And they make it more difficult for you to move around the map and utilize the tools available.
What do you think the reason for that is?
The reason for that is because MW2 was a slow game by design.
Yeah.
And I posted about this yesterday. It is not a slow game because of some programming thing. It's not slow because of the it's not slow because of mechanical difficulties. It's not slow because there's something wrong with the engine or that's not programmed right. This is by design. They intentionally add milliseconds of delay between one action completing and the next action beginning. And we know this is true because in Warzone 2, they changed this stuff. They sped it up. And they sped it up again during Modern Warfare 3. They intentionally removed penalties for things. The fact that they can go in and remove penalties for things tells you the penalties are there. All right? It's not a byproduct of programming. It's a programmed element put into the game, right? And so it's a reset, right? So think about it in terms of like fire rate, right? Guns will have a specific fire rate. Single fire guns, automatic guns, doesn't matter. It has a fire rate. And they have in the past changed the fire rate of different guns. And they've introduced attachments that change the fire rate of those guns. In fact, we have an attachment in this game called Rapid Fire, which changes the fire rate of the gun. That's all. They have the power to change that at will. They can nerf that anytime they want. And they have nerfed this stuff in the past. And they've buffed this stuff in the past.
Look at Desert's question to you.
This is not. Yeah. No, not at all. This is, we are playing this game the way it was designed to be played. Okay? Somebody made this call. Now, I'm going to hang this on Modern Warfare 2. All right? Well, Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2. And the decisions they made back then, because of when this game deviated in their production from that game, right? From those decisions, they carried a lot of that with them. And they've said in previous patch notes that they intend to remove a lot of these penalties and they intend to speed this up. And they have done so already. They've already made improvements, okay? They need to make more of them. They need to get rid of a lot of these delays. And that's going to make the movement feel fluider, more fluid, okay? It's going to impact players of all skill levels in a positive manner. Now, the good players, the high-skilled players, are going to be able to extend their skill, raise their skill gap from where they are to a higher level, and so they will be significantly better when you run into them than they are now, similar to how it was in Warzone 1. But lower skilled players are going to be able to do things that they are generally prohibited from doing, and the problem is they don't know that they can't do things. So, for example, parachuting in on someone, if you are not observant in the game, if you're not like super skilled and very experienced in all of how the mechanics work in the game, which I'm going to be honest, sometimes I forget because I'm not paying attention. I see a guy and I'm like, I want to drop on him and get into a gunfight. I have to drop a certain number of meters behind him so that I have time to hit the ground, unhook my parachute, pull my gun out, look at it for 5 minutes, order a pizza, and then I can start shooting him. Modern Warfare 1 or Warzone 1, you could drop in before you hit the ground, you could have your pistol out and shooting. You could have your gun out and shooting. They've taken that away from us by design. And they did that design in Modern Warfare 2 because people were mad that they could get shot out of the air. The solution, if you want to avoid that, there's solutions that don't involve what they did, but they added delays, right? And it affects all of us because then we're unable to make plays, especially when we're pinched or people surprise us and we're doing one action and we need to instantly get into a gunfight. We are delayed in doing so. And because we are not locked into every little microsecond of how long everything takes, we get screwed as average and below average players because the things what we instinctively want to do, the game says, nope, you have to delay and wait the appropriate amount of time before you can do what you want to do. They got to get rid of that.
And I've made no secret, I never liked the shooting while in the air mechanic, and I know some of you do, and let's not fucking get it twisted, bro. I was able to actually shoot people out of the air while I was in there too. I just don't. I just don't
skills.
Fucking like that mechanic. I think that's stupid. to be able to do that. It fucks with the flow of the game. There's nothing like dropping to try to help your friends, but you've got 2 plates fucking gone because some asshole that's not going to drop anywhere near you fucking took your plates in the air while, dropping it fucking however many meters per second. It's dumb.
Here's where I'm going to say I did not like dropping out of the plane, immediately losing 2 plates, and then when I land on the ground, being unable to
you're fighting at a disadvantage
on the ground, right? So I'm with you on that, right? That doesn't mean that when I take a balloon or I jump off a building, right, and I pull my chute halfway through the game, I should be held by the same.
I agree with you on that for sure.
If I jump off a building, I should be able to pull up my gun and shoot on the way down, right? I should be able to immediately get into a gunfight because I'm jumping to help my friend, and instead, by the time I hit the ground and I pull my chute and I cock my gun and I pull it out and I order the pizza, right? My buddy is now dead and I'm getting shot already. So I've lost the gunfight because I wanted to get involved and help my teammate. They've taken that away from us.
I have a clip actually, and it was one of the limited time modes from Caldera where like you actually had your loadout when you dropped in. And I have a clip where I'm fucking dropping in and I'm going to the peak and this dude's starting to shoot me. And then I pull a fucking Maverick and hit the brakes and let him fly right by. And then I fucking, I immediately hit my chute again and I'm able to shoot him out of the air with my, and I think it was the XM4. And I'm like, that's what you get for being a bitch. And, so I was able to do that, but like, it's just kind of frustrating. Then I have another one where like Danger B was one of the big TikTok creators just kind of did the same thing to me over on that same peak and just completely shit on me. And I'm just like, God damn it, bro.
But it's not just that. It's not, the parachuting is like the most obvious, right? I'm sure most of us have seen the video. If not, Google it. I'm sure you'll find it. Comparing from when you hit the ground with your parachute in Modern Wars, in Warzone 1 to now, of how much longer it takes to get into a gunfight. It's excessive. It's like 2 or 3 times.
It's a long time. Right? And I forget about that. Like we talked about, I think it was like last time, like I forget, like, cause I'm like, oh shit, this dude's on the corner of the building shooting at my teammates. I'm going to drop in behind him and then put in work. Yeah, nope. Not going to happen. I get shit on every time, but at the end of the day though, that's my own fucking fault.
But they put delays into everything, right? So if you omni movement, you have a delay before you can get your ass off the ground. If you omni movement, you're committing to playing from the ground, right? If you omni movement, diving, if you dive, right, you're committing to that. If you're jumping, you're committing to that, right? Because you're going to play that whole animation out, and then you're going to do your next move. Versus MW 2019 / Warzone 1, where you could string together moves. You could slide, cancel, hop up, and immediately be bunny hopping, right? Because it was momentum based. They didn't have these deliberate delays.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
And that's the problem. That's the problem that people run into. And most people, I don't think, can put their finger on the issue because they feel the sluggishness. They feel it slow. So they play slower. It slows the game down, which is probably the intent, to slow the game down. But the reality is it just gets bad players killed without them understanding why.
They're gonna fucking get killed anyway, dude. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, stop trying to nerf good players. Good,
but you're not always. Like, if you're a bad player, and this is the thing, right? Because look, guys that I play with are bad players. I used to play with a lot of bad players, right? And most of them are self-aware that they're bad players, and most of the time they would die. But sometimes the instincts would kick in. They would do the right thing without thinking about it, and it would work out. And they would win the gunfight, and they'd be like, dude, that was awesome, right? That doesn't happen anymore. Like, and you know what? And I was one of those people, right? When I picked up my first sniper rifle in the damn game was on Rebirth Island. Okay, it was the first time I decided to actually start sniping. That's a crazy
place to try to learn to
Call of
snipe,
Duty.
too.
17 years of Call of Duty. And it was because I was on the run. I had just come back. I was getting shot. There was a guy on me. And I picked up the first gun I came across, which was a sniper. I turned around and I quick scoped him in the face. And I sat there and I went, holy shit, that was cool. I want to do that again. And I'd never felt that in 17 years of playing Call of Duty with a sniper rifle. And now, I'm a menace when I
It's
decide to run
actually,
one. Okay?
sniping's really good
It's
right
fun.
now with that 7.62. That
It's
fucking
really good. Well, I mentioned I dropped in,
Yeah.
I played that boot camp run. I picked up a ground loot 7.62 and a PP, and I ran the table on those.
Well, and I don't know
poor
if you saw
bastards.
Alex's
And-
tweet. The 5 attachment one is better than the 8 attachment one. It has the same fucking
I did not, but I'll look at that.
everything's the same.
Well, because there's only a few attachments that affect the ability. It's then you have like mobility and some other things you can mess with additional attachments. So, but the feeling of doing something great accidentally is not there anymore because everything is so delayed. It's so intentional that you cannot pick up a gun and immediately turn around and quick scope because it's not there anymore, right? That ability has been removed from us. Like you can't just pick it up. You have to pick it up and you have to go through a process before you're ready to shoot it, right? You could YY quickly and like you could have that gun very, very fast, ready to go in Warzone 1. And now in delay zone, we don't get that, right? Every action has a consequence and they have to take away the consequences. And yes, it will mean that sometimes you get shit on by some TikTok YY loser who's just like dancing around you because they can. And you're not a very good player and you get shit on and you get a guest star on somebody's TikTok. All right. It sucks. Believe me, I've been there. However, the negative to you as a low skilled player, it way outweighs the unfortunate times when that really works against you. Most players will see a net impact of positive gameplay.
Fluidity benefits everybody, man. And that's why like the whole like don't listen to like the top tiered players, the pros, those kind of things. Like we got to stop with that nonsense because those people play the game enough to be able to spot all the shit that's broken in it way before Tim from accounting that fucking plays 2 hours every 3 days. Like we got to stop that. And yes, they should listen to them.
You want a great example? If anybody wants a great example of this, last year when you could hit the zip line and pop up on top of the zip line, right, and not have to dismount, like Tim from accounting is not going to find that. I never even figured out how to do that.
Get the
right?
timing
I never
right.
bothered, but yeah, like so. But I knew I played with some guys that could figure it out, and it was a huge advantage. And it was the sort of thing that you would never find without a really high skilled player putting the time in to figure out how to do this stuff. It's not always great. Sometimes they discover stuff that's just horribly broken and stupid, right? And then that should probably be stamped out. But a lot of times they'll uncover problems or things like slide canceling, resetting, tac sprint. Like that was legitimately like a positive thing for the game overall. As much as I decried it back in the day because I wasn't very good, I'm slightly better now. Because I was below average then. Now I'm above average.
I never had an issue with the slide canceling, man. That never bothered me. The only thing that bothered me was no fucking FOV.
I'll tell you what I had a problem with. I had a problem with slide canceling because you could slide cancel around people. Like I would get people looping me and like going past me and I couldn't find them. And it wasn't slide canceling that was the problem. Even though I experienced it that way and I complained about it that way. And this is where skill comes into a factor in making decisions on what to deal with. It wasn't the slide cancel that was the problem. It was FOV.
Yeah.
Because at 80 FOV, I couldn't track them because I couldn't see them because they would go out of my frame of view, turn around and be coming back while I'm still rotating to find them. Okay? Literally, that was the issue. And they fixed the FOV and that problem went away. Who do you see? How many TikToks do you see
now
doing
it's
that now? It used to be every day, 10 times on the timeline, somebody showing off them dancing around somebody being like, oh, they can't see me. They can't fight me. And it was like, okay, they can't see you because they're on 80 FOV. They're looking through blinders like this. I can't see any. Where are you? And they've got the whole damn,
You're
screen
playing
in front of
fucking
them.
duck, goose with somebody who's fucking blindfolded and can't even fucking see your ass. Like, shut up, dummy. Now, dude, like the TikTok thing is like, it's that rage bait thing. And they're like, oh, look at these 40-year-old fucking old head dads. And it's somebody that's like clearly fucking using like walls and like fucking aimbot and all this other shit. It's
like they're just shooting their dicks off. And they always get caught, right? They always, within a month, it's always like, Why am I suspended? It's a false
I
suspension.
swear to God, it's kind of like you ever see like those kids, and I think they do this shit on purpose because they want the attention. Where like a kid will just walk up at something,
Of course
look
they
at you, and then like push it off the counter and it breaks, and they just want, you know what I mean? It's fucking like that, dude. Like, but no, like that's. I mean, that's kind of the frustrating thing that delays. You're right. I agree.
Yeah, but those three things. Everything else, even the 100-round mag, is small fry. It's small potatoes. It's something that they can take a little bit longer to fix, and it is what it is. It doesn't ruin the game. Is it boring? Kind of a pain in the ass to deal with? Yeah. Does it ruin the game? No. The delays, the servers, and the cheaters ruin the game. The three horsemen of a dead game.
And I will say this too, though. If you're going to have a competitive mode like ranked, whether it be multiplayer or in Warzone, you got to be quick to address some of this shit. Like, you got to be like faster on some of these things. Like, you can't let shit that makes the mode uncompetitive linger for as long as they do sometimes. Like, yes, I'm happy. And maybe the battle ready thing was just timing just because of the break or whatever. But I mean, like, I can't imagine that was probably more than a few clicks of a fucking mouse to get that removed, like, or to change it. And I applaud them for addressing that immediately when they came back, because it's still in there.
Yeah.
They just changed it. It's not a UAV; it's a fucking supply UAV, which is great.
And I will bet it was a bit more effort to figure out what the fix should be. I guarantee they realized it was an issue pretty quickly. But I'll bet it took a lot longer for them to figure out what the problem was, like how to solve the problem effectively. And the supply box UAV was probably the right thing. And it's going to come down to how perks are built and how perks are implemented. So if you remember Warzone 2, right, they removed the perk Bird's Eye, right? However, it didn't remove all the way, because if you recall, I could still use Bird's Eye because I had a glitched class that I could custom. If you remember that, I could custom in Warzone, in Modern Warfare 2. Early on, you couldn't build custom classes, but some people could. Okay, and so if you could build a custom class, you could keep Bird's Eye on it, and as long as you had Bird's Eye on it, you were good to go. I was one of those people, and it was nice because I could run Bird's Eye and see everything and kind of call people out and make the call. And it was a really effective tool because the way Bird's Eye worked back then was anything that revealed a player to anybody within reach, reveal them to you as an advanced.
You're a hoe
UAV
for
mark.
that. I'm just gonna be honest with you, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you're a hoe for that.
charge I charge $5.
But there's no counter for battle
was-
ready either though, because like when you pop those fucking advanced UAVs,
Well, there was no counter for
they're
Bird's Eye
like-
either. It was an advanced UAV ping, so there was no
Exactly,
counter
like-
for it.
you got to fix
So-
things and make a counter.
But removing it, right, when they removed it, so people like me, it didn't remove all the time, but it also jammed people up sometimes and created problems with their loadouts, right? There were problems with loadouts, and if you remember in MW3 Season 1 Reloaded, there was a whole problem of the game just wouldn't load and people couldn't get their loadouts, and it's because elements of Specialist got into the code, and when that happened, it messed up people's
That
loadouts.
also was at the same time where people were like fucking Superman mode too, or whatever that was. Remember where like they just
around
had
that era, but
yeah, like it was an issue. I think more so on like Resurgence than it was on Big Map, but
yeah, they had issues. But my point is that because you have these classes and these perks saved in loadouts, it's a little more difficult than adjusting. Removing them, for example, is a little more difficult, right? And so you have to make changes to them, and you have to make changes, and you have to think. And they thought this through, and made, I think, the right choice. They made the right changes, which they could have just knee-jerk reaction, tried to yank stuff, tried to pull that element out, and who knows what it would have done, right? It could have seriously broken the game, right? It could have made it so that you can't touch loadouts, for example, because that was the issue in Season 1 Reloaded. Is it broke loadouts, and so if you got your loadout, you got stuck on it, and then the game crashed.
that sucks. We had that actually,
right?
We had that did happen actually a couple weeks ago when we were playing. I can't remember if it was pubs or ranked, but it did happen. Like he couldn't get his loadout, He couldn't switch from his pistol. Like, so like
that's an
Yeah.
ongoing bug. That's been a
Yeah.
bug for a while. So that's been around for a bit. But the point is, like, so things like that, I understand that they want to sit there and they want to make the right choice so they don't have to fix the problem and then fix the problem they created by fixing the first problem, right? Make one fix and then maybe make some improvements down the road, which is the course that they took, which great. It sucked for like the 2 weeks that it was a really big problem, but they fixed it and things are better. Right? Things are better and right?
Well, no, because now the hackers are a fucking issue.
Well, with the issue. Okay.
With that, the first
right?
couple
like,
days where, so like I stopped playing, like we reached a point to where even my guys were like, I'm not fucking playing while it's like this, so I stopped playing. I did not play ranked until they removed battle ready. And then the first few days I played, like 2 or 3 days, it was pretty good. And then we just started noticing some real sus shit. And then also, again, getting into the kind of lobbies that we got into. But I mean, the thing is like, I think a lot of it is like, I'm not asking them to hop on socials and tell me exactly what they're doing, how they're going to fix this or that, or this or that. Just calm about it, though. At least give better comms. Be like, hey, listen, we know this is an issue. We're working on a fix. We'll update you as soon as you get it. Personally, for me, that's good enough. It may not be for some of these other fuck faces out there, but for me, it 100% is. I swear to God, if you just calm with me and let me know, like, it, not me directly, but like, if you just let us know, like, shit, we're working on it.
No, I want my phone to ring.
Yeah.
I want this to ring, and I want to know one-on-one.
I want the call from Phil Spencer, goddammit. But no, like just at least put it out there and be like, hey, we know this is an issue. We're looking at it. We're going to try to fix it. And they've done that a few times.
I will say
they're just not consistent with it.
And I think they're not consistent with it, but this comes down to, if you've been there, a little bit. And if you haven't been there, everyone's lying to you. So look, here's the thing, right? As a developer, sometimes, and they were very forthright on this, and I'm going to give credit to Treyarch and their comms, because they had a fix in zombies for one of the larger enemies, special enemies. I forget its name, that would hit you, and like basically they would hit you twice, and they were only supposed to be able to hit you once. Okay. And that issue, they said they fixed it and they put out a patch. Right before break, I think, or right after, or the first one after break, or whatever it was. And they said they fixed it, and they didn't. Right? It didn't fix, and it was one of those things where it can feel like you fixed it on the back end, and in this, and that this is an easy change and an easy fix to make. And when you actually go to fix it, all of a sudden there's a mess and there's something wrong. And sometimes, and usually, it's because the thing that you were trying to fix is influenced by a different tool, a different product, right? Something that shouldn't be related or doesn't feel related, but then you get into it and you're like, oh shit, like this is a bigger mess. Companies will tend to not promise fixes for things that they aren't confident that are quick fixes. Like if they aren't confident on a timeline, i.e. they're already working on a fix, and now they know this is going to take another 2 weeks or another week, or we're going to ship this soon. Because what will happen is they say, oh, we see the problem. We're going to fix it. Don't worry. We're on it. We got it. They get in there and they're like, oh, shit. This is not an easy fix. This is a big fix that is going to take time, because we have to untangle it from this other thing. And there might be other dependencies that they haven't tracked down yet. And so a 1 week fix can turn into a month-long or 2 month-long process that affects so many things. Right? At the end of the day, it touches so many different things that they have to go in and test everything they touch and figure out that, think about a spider nest or a spider web, right? Of like, you want to fix one string, but it's at that point where 4 other strings connect to it. And if you break it, the whole web falls apart, or a huge chunk of the web falls apart, right? And so in development, you want to be sure that you're only fixing, like you're only messing with one string and not like a nexus point. And in games like this, those nexus points, they show, in software, they show up out of nowhere because you're like, why is this all tied together? Like, why is what I'm doing affecting that thing over there? And you're just like in this, it gets into a mess real fast. And so from a comms point of view, you don't necessarily want to announce that you're working on something when you don't really know what the timeline is.
Well, I mean, honestly, though, dude, it's for me personally, I don't have to have specifics. Just tell me you're looking into it, man. That's all. That's legitimately all you have to do. But, it's like funny when you were just talking about that, it kind of reminded me of, wasn't there like it was like either an invisibility glitch in Warzone 1 or like going fucking under the ground where if you hit a building with a helicopter and stemmed at the right time, like it fucked everything up. Do you remember that? Like there's been like a few iterations of glitches that were fucked up that revolved around that stem.
There was one where they first brought the gunship in that had the machine gun, the miniguns on the sides, and they had to bring that in and take it out several times because of glitches like that. There were a lot of points in the map in Warzone 1 specifically where you could pull a truck up or a vehicle up next to a wall at a certain spot, and when you hopped out of the truck, like you would hop into the wall. And so that's how a lot of like in-map things would go. And so, there were points, because remember those garages, there'd be those garages in Verdansk. There were a number of garages where you could pull up the truck right next to the garage, and when you hopped out, it would be like you would be glitching like through the edge of the truck would kind of go through the wall a little bit. And so when you hopped out of it, like it registered that there was nothing next to you because you were past the point of the wall in the programming. And so then you would hop out into the wall, and then you could hop back into it later. And so people would hop in there, hang out while the circle's closed, and just kill people as they came by from under the map. And then they'd be able to get back in the truck and drive off.
Yeah.
And it was so bullshit, but it was great when you count them because you could blow the truck up and there's nothing they could do about it.
There was also a glitch in Urzikstan last year too, where people could get into, there was a parking garage over there downtown. People could get into that. There was a glitch over on Verdansk 1. It might have been 84 actually, over at the train station where people could glitch into a building that was closed. And I remember I actually have a clip. I fucking killed 2 people trying to get into that glitch. Shit all over them. It was great. And then talked all kinds of mad shit to them too. They're probably the fucking Russian graphic designer people that like just follow botted me this week. They're probably like holding that kind of grudge, dude. Still,
they're probably they're probably still bugging you.
I mean, glitches happen, dude.
So
I get it, and I personally am not one that's gonna like. I'm not like losing my shit over that kind of stuff. It's just you do have to keep up the fucking pressure, or stuff is not fixed. It just isn't.
Yeah, I agree. And the comms are a result of the pressure, right? If we don't pressure them, they don't give comms. Yeah. I mean, it's just easier not to. And look, as someone who's been in those shoes, it's easier to just sit down and fix it, and when it's fixed, the noise goes away. All right, I mean that's just how it is, right? So it's good on them for like stepping up and saying, hey, yeah, but we screwed this launch up. This thing, we made a mistake on this, retroactively. So now we're rolling it back. And those kind of comms are good, and it's a result of pressure. Like, if we keep it up, and honestly, it's the pressure is good, and then you have to, it's like Pavlov, right? Training a dog, you have to teach it no, and then when it listens, you have to reward it.
Exactly.
So go buy a bundle.
I fucking, like I said, I'm part of the problem. I bought this Squid Game shit. This game is in a fucked up state right now, and I bought that goddamn Squid Game shit. And I'm gonna be honest, dude, I don't even fucking watch Squid Game.
Multiplayer's working pretty good. I don't have a problem with multiplayer.
I've never seen a single
Warzone
episode
sucks, but I don't have a
of
problem
that
with
goddamn
multiplayer.
show, and I bought that for that M4 skin and for that last operator. But no, I'm part of the problem. I spend money on this game, and it's just one of those things. It's like I can't help myself sometimes, dude. And I'm not spending money every single month, dude. Like, let's not get that twisted. But I buy the black cell. I buy fucking, skins that come along. I mean, a lot of the skins and shit I've bought and bundles have been with COD points that I've gotten from having the black cell, which that is one of the benefits of it. You save that up. But anyway, Dude, I
but it's
have
definitely good.
played a lot of, I say a lot, I've played a decent amount of Delta Force lately. That game's going to be really good, dude, when it gets to console and when they get controller support. So I've been playing that on mouse and key. And I've been playing the warfare mode, which is.
So you haven't
I
played
played a couple matches of that. It was okay. It was okay.
I feel like it's I feel like the extraction mode's a little more difficult if you're not solid on mouse and key, because you just are, the risk is so much higher.
And I went in with Jigsy, and I did actually get a kill against a non-bot, like another player. So that was cool. And then we were able to extract. I got clapped the very first time I came in there. Motherfucker had a pistol, bro, just like shit all over me. And whatever. But the warfare mode is really fun so that's like the big sandbox, almost like Rush.
Yeah, it's basically like Battlefield Light.
It's exactly what Battlefield should have been. And I'll tell you, there's specialists in it, that have different abilities. They did they did it better than Battlefield 2042 did, because to me, the specialists don't feel so fucking OP. Like it's and it's also focused a lot more on, like, one of the differences between Delta Force and Battlefield is like Battlefield is heavily focused on like vehicle combat and things like that. This is more focused, like, yes, there are some vehicles, but it's mostly ground combat, boots on the ground combat. You're fighting.
Well, the sniping in that game is phenomenal. As I've played it a bit, I haven't broken a grand yet, but I was routinely hitting 750, 800 meters on certain maps. I haven't played it since they brought it back out. They put it away from the first beta where I played it last night. So I haven't played it on this next round, which is it fully out now? Or like,
because they released, they just actually, as we've been on here, what's up, number 2? As we've been on here, they released their roadmap. It's that's pretty cool. But the other thing, Delta Force news, they actually were supposed to be coming out with like Delta Force Mobile, and they delayed it. And you know what, dude? Honestly, I can kind of appreciate them doing that, because at the end of the day, they know it's a subpar product releasing as is, and they're waiting to fix some shit and then release it. Like, not hard. I mean, is it going to be perfect when it's launched? Probably not. There's still going to be glitches and bugs and everything, but I mean, I think that's really cool. And I'll send you this. Here, I'll send you the roadmap so you can see it if you don't have it pulled up.
I do not. But yeah, it's good that it's coming out. It's kind of like the state of gaming around is starting to heal a little bit. We're starting to get some decent games and some good stuff out there. Marvel Rivals is hot right now. I haven't played it. It doesn't. I've watched a lot of gameplay on it. It just doesn't appeal to me, that style of gameplay. I'm not an Overwatch kind of guy, but a lot of people love it, which is great. I think it's out at the right time, right? It's successful in a lot of ways. So I hope that's doing well. I hope that continues to do well, because here's the thing, right? And, games need competition. And I know, look, I know we're all tribal. We all like to see our side win, and everybody agree that our side's the best side. Take your topic, right? Video games are no different than anything else. But if there's no competition, right? If there's no threat of like losing your place and being overtaken, then there's no reason to get better. There's no reason to improve. There's no reason to push the envelope of what is, what works well. In fact, you're incentivized to sit back and just kind of enjoy being, enjoy your success, bask in your success of having won. And the problem is that is not good long-term for anybody, right? We're human beings. We thrive in competition. We thrive when we are challenged, when we're pushed, right? And we have to perform at our best. That makes us, nobody performs at their best because they feel like it. Nobody plays their best piano by themselves in a room, right? Alone. No one does. You play the best when someone's going to knock you out of your seat. Someone is going to knock you out of your chance to play the big show. Okay? Nobody is the best football player, when they just play the practice squad. Right? You got to play the other teams. You got to push out the best. And sometimes, like, you can be like Penn State and throw it away at the last second because you're not the best and you blew it, right?
Well,
games do the same thing.
And I will say this, though. A game doesn't have to be a carbon copy one for one for it to be competition.
Mm-mm.
I mean, when we talk about and correct me if I'm wrong here, but when we're talking about competition, we're talking about more or less options for the gamer to play, like something else to play, whether it be another shooter like Gray Zone Warfare or Delta Force, or maybe another game like Marvel Rivals or Power World back in the day was kind of a big deal, like those kind of things. We're not necessarily talking like a one-to-one thing, but in the first person shooter space, we definitely want competition. And that's why, like, when we talk about Ubisoft in general, like they were part of the equation for competition. Ghost Recon was really good.
And then they blew
Fucking Rainbow Six was really good. And they've more or less ruined those franchises. The Division has gone through some changes. Like it's just not good.
Look at the glory days of Call of Duty, right? Everyone, the
golden
days.
era, like you talk about.
Modern Warfare, COD 4 through up till Advanced Warfare. Okay, arguably the best period of Call of Duty. What did you have around there? What other you had? You had Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six games were out. You had Splinter Cell in that time period. You had Battlefield was around. They were doing stuff. You had who else did you have making waves? Grand Theft Auto was putting games out in that time. Okay. Sports games were doing well. You had competition between EA and 2K Sports in most sports. Okay. There were so many games that all competed for your attention. Right? In every genre, and genres competing against each other, right? About what's gonna take your attention. What game are you going to buy to play this month? Like, what game are you going to grab? What are you going to do? And there was something about those days because you had to go to the store and buy the game. You couldn't just click and download it.
Yeah.
You had to go to GameStop. You had to go to EB Games. You had to go to Toys R Us, 'cause that was still around. And you had to buy the game and take it home and plug it in to play it, right? And if you picked wrong, then you had to go. You couldn't just switch to the next game. You had to go all the way back and get another one.
Yeah.
If you could afford it, right? So competition made everybody better because there were so many games and so many franchises and so many types of games to play. And that has whittled down until what first-person shooters are there? Well, there's Call of Duty. What, extraction shooters now have competition, right? And that's but before you had Tarkov, right? If you wanted to slow tactical shooter, you played Tarkov.
JC.
If you wanted to, Call of Duty, or an arena shooter, you played Call of Duty. All right. If you want a sports game, you play EA. That's it. That's what there is, right? And then we get these single player games like Hogwarts and like Starfield and like all these other games that pop up, Wukong, and they play and they're good for a couple of months because people play them for a short time, but then they finish the game and it's done.
Yeah.
They move on.
They're not live service
Right?
games, really.
That's not the same kind of competition, right? And so we need to have more competition, right? More games that are intended to capture our attention for a long period of time. And we need that. And so and Call of Duty's been lacking real
They've
competition.
won by default
which is
for
going to
several
be-
years, dude. Like, because they're fucking uncontested.
Yeah. And so we're seeing really a big turning point in games where we have a lot of games coming out. We have two extraction shooters that are competitive to each other in early access. We have another Battlefield coming. We have another Call of Duty coming out. We have a lot of games cropping up that are going to compete with Call of Duty for our eyeballs and our gaming time, that we haven't really had this many. I mean, you know, we have Assassin's Creed got delayed again, which is coming out now on the 20th, which should be around the time.
Yeah, Verdansk drops the 10th.
Allegedly.
Supposed that's
Allegedly.
the date. Allegedly. And then you've got March 20th. And the thing about that is again, we're not saying that games have to be a 1-to-1 copy. Like, we just want the competition. Like, and we don't want Call of Duty to die. And I think it's insane to say that certain games are COD killers or anything like that. The only people that are out trotting that shit out are the ones that want to see whatever games fail.
The only COD killers out there.
Yeah, and the game is at this point, I think, too big to fail. If I'm being real, their player counts might drop, you know, periodically, and you know we have the COD cycle and everything. But like, I don't think anything is going to kill COD. Like, so let's be real about that. We just want COD to be better because we love it. At the end of the day, that's why we do what we do, man.
Most of the time. Unless the cheaters are out.
Yeah, fuck them and their moms, but whatever.
But you know, so you know, we're in a weird spot. We're in a good spot potentially if everything hits, right? You know, we've kind of had this spot before, like 2020, 2021. You had Battlefield was coming out. There, you know, a few other games that were getting ready to come out, and then they all sucked. And so I think it's kind of like, remember, I think it was Battlefield, and then when did what's it called? 2077
Cyberpunk. Yeah, I think that was
Cyberpunk.
22.
Around the same 22, so kind of around the same time though, right? And it was like, this is going to be the next game. And then
no, it was
and
when
sucked.
Vanguard came out, because I did not buy Vanguard off release. I wasn't going to. I was going to play Battlefield, and then I'd had enough of 2042 and how buggy and shit that was. So I like begrudgingly bought Vanguard and was not fucking happy about it because I did not want to play like a World War II era game at all. I was going to walk away from COD that year. And then when Battlefield was so fucking terrible on release, I just went back to Call of Duty, like an abusive relationship, man.
Well, you know, yeah, it's the old gal that just doesn't let you go. It's like, you know, you get the movie and she's just waiting for you at the bar, going to slap you for what you did before and then pour your drink.
And also, dudes like crazy chicks, and I equate Call of Duty to a crazy chick.
And we've both been married for an extended period of time, so we know what that's like.
Yeah. I got nothing. Thank God my wife doesn't even watch our podcast, so you know I'm getting some trouble.
So, but now, you know, so hopefully things go well. I'm excited for what's coming. COD needs to fix its stuff, and that will make Verdansk great. And you know, we could have a revival of good gaming coming up.
Are you streaming today? Or
no,
this weekend?
I'm gonna go, dude. I haven't streamed in like
the fuck are you doing? Let's go. You got a heater and everything.
Got shit to do, man. Dude, this heater does not keep up in the winter as much as I try. Everything else I need a dedicated 220 line for. And
I'm going live as soon as we're fucking done here. I'm going to probably take about a 5-minute break and then I'm going live.
Cool. Well, hop over to play with Jay. Play with Jay when he's on. Let him get his beers, and he's probably got to take a leak after that one. So great episode. We are working on getting Alex from Warzone Loadout back on. You know, trying to just balance some scheduling stuff here with him, and so hopefully he'll be on in the next couple of weeks. And otherwise we're kind of getting into Verdansk Watch. Excited for that. And next week, so next week might have a little bit of adjustments on when we go live, depending on other stuff. But otherwise, keep an eye out, and we'll catch you guys all in the next
later,
one.
y'all.
See if the thing plays again. Yeah, screw it.